The first known rules of golf were drawn up in 1744 by the Gentlemen Golfers of Edinburgh in Leith, Scotland. Since then the game has changed dramatically. Golf courses, equipment, and not least the rules. So where do I go when I want to learn about the rules of the game today? Well, I go to the Golf Rules Questions podcast with Blakey and Rossco, of course. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Golf Rules Questions podcast.
Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Golf Rules Questions podcast. Yes, we've been on a little bit of a break. Well, let's going to call this the start of season 3. Season 1 was last year when we started. We had a little bit of a break around Christmas and just a little bit of a break before our Melbourne lockdown. Yes, for those of you listening around the world that are being vaccinated and now playing golf at will, and I even see Las Vegas has opened back up. But us Melbourneites here, not to get any pity from you, but us Melbourneites here are locked down. There's no golf, but we are back podcasting for season 3 of the Golf Rules Questions podcast. It's Rossco here, your host, and ably sitting opposite the other host, the Golf Rules Questions guru, Blakey. Why did we have a break? You've been doing other projects.
So I was forced to take some annual leave from my normal job, and so took some leave just basically sitting around my own house, but also got up to the farm or a friend's farm up on the border of the Victoria-New South Wales border, and just east of Albury, and enjoyed my little time out there in the sunshine and lots of big open space.
Chasing bulls, sheep, cows. What were you doing?
We had cows to look after. Obviously, they're in calving stage at the moment, so just making sure that they were feeding properly and looking after their babies, their calves, and then also sent off some cows and some steers to the works as well.
Well, there you go. He's not only the guru of golf, he's not only a man about town down here in Melbourne, but if you're looking for him, you'll probably find him on the land, getting his hands dirty. Going back to your roots, you're a farmer of origin, is that not right?
I grew up around farming. Wouldn't say I was much of a farmer back then. Country boy, but city slicker was pretty easy to merge into for me. But certainly you can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy.
Well said. Hey, so what's happened while you've been away? You've still been keeping your hands in the Golf Rules Questions social media pie. You've many videos gone up. Not any podcasts, obviously, but a lot of posts, videos on the YouTube. What's our current subscriber rate on the YouTube site there, Blakey? Give us an update for those that are following on for this somewhat measurement for us to, give ourselves permissions to go playing golf in far off places. Where are we at?
Yeah, so we've hit some pretty good we hit a pretty good milestone just after we released the last podcast. So we're up to 10. We got to the 10,000 mark of subscribers on YouTube, and now we're at 11.2 thousand subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. And I never thought we'd sort of even get to 10,000, but it just keeps rolling along. So going really well, and we're just a service here to educate the golfers on what's happened on TV and what how the process is for situations that happen in the future.
Well, let's keep cracking on. Thanks for joining us back for season 3, episode 40. Episode 39, we probably left everyone with a bit of a cliffhanger. It was like a great TV series, like when it ends at a certain point and you just want to know what happens next. Well, with our Golf Rules question of the week, it was a little bit like that because it was a doozy of a question. I've had to read it 17 times to get my head around it. So if you were waiting for the response, hopefully you've had a bit more time to digest it, and we're going to try and run through the question, then give you the answer of the last episode's Golf Rules question of the week. So I'm going to read it again. Listen carefully because it's one that you'll have to follow if you want to get to the answer. So Let me read, Blakey, because that is one of the two roles that I have. One's pressing the record button, the other one's reading the question. Okay, a group of 4 players having a good day until they get to the par 5 7th hole from the tee. Player A and player B slice their balls into the right rough. Player C and player D hit an okay shot down the middle of the fairway. The second shot, player B arrives in the right rough and plays a ball which he hits somewhat across the fairway to the rough on the left-hand side. Player A arrives and plays a ball from near where player B played his shot and hits down the right side of the fairway. Player C hits the second shot into the rough on the left-hand side of the fairway, a similar place to where player B just hit his shot to. Player D hits his shot down the middle again, third shot. Player B arrives in the left rough and hits the ball to the green. Player C, from a similar place in the rough, hits the ball to the green. Player A arrives at his ball to play his third shot and announces, "I've hit the wrong ball," at the green. When they hear player A call about hitting the wrong ball, players B and C proceed to the green, then mark and examine the balls they played. Both player B and player C announce, "Oh, we've hit the wrong ball too." So, if you followed that, and also including my funny voices, what's the answer, David?
Yeah, so the answer is, and I have to preface this with there were no other balls on the golf course and not any stray balls or any other players' balls from any other holes. These are the only 4 balls on the golf course. Player A hit one wrong ball and incurs the general penalty and must go back to where his tee shot came to rest, which is obviously moved. He'd be lying 3, playing his 4th. Player B hit 2 wrong balls, but only incurs 1 general penalty, as the second wrong ball was a related act, a continuance, and player B must go back to where his tee shot landed, lying 3, now playing his 4th, and obviously his ball was moved as well by player A. Player C hit 1 wrong ball, that was of player. It's technically actually player A's ball, but it was the one that player B hit there in the first place. They incur 1 general penalty and must go back to where their second shot came to rest, now lying 4, and will be playing their 5th. And obviously player D incurs no penalties for hitting it all the way down the middle of the hole.
Bit of a doozy, that one.
Yeah, actually someone wrote that into me, one of my good friends, David Roberts. So it wasn't, I sort of bastardized it a little bit, but then obviously left out a little bit of information as well that was required to answer it. But yeah, no, it was just talking, it was just mainly talking about hitting a wrong ball and what the penalty is and what you do once you found out you've hit a wrong ball. You got to go back and you got to find your ball. Obviously, in this case, everyone's ball was basically moved, so they all can just pick up the balls, swap them around, and then replace them on the estimated spot where their ball was at rest from their shot. So yeah, easy.
Well, let me hope you never find yourself in a group where that amount of lost ball carnage happens. Always great to identify your ball and have identifying marks on your ball is one of the morals out of that little story. Try and identify your ball. If you're hitting into the same spots as other people, identify your ball, people. There you go, and you'll avoid these situations.
If you get a little logoed ball, like a little Golf Rules Questions or My Love of Golf, or a little bomb, or a rocket, it's probably a lot easier to identify that as your own ball.
Well, if anyone wants the Golf Rules Questions logo dozen balls, just send your orders across to Blakey, and he'll order them up for you. Of course, at charge, a small charge for the logo. But if you do want some of those, Blakey, he knows a man that can make that happen. The bomb, well, that's exclusive. I think there was only one ever print run of the bomb, Blakey, and I might have lost them all. So if you want a bomb, a ball with Melbourne's Dan Maudsley design tattoo artist's bomb on the side, like a bomb with a ball in there, you've got to go to Peninsula Kingswood and find them predominantly around the 3rd, 6th, 14th, 18th on the left after a big snappy hook. You'll find them all there. Anyway, we digress and in jest as well. So there's quite a few tournaments that have happened, but none bigger than the monumental win of Phil Mickelson's PGA major at the tender age of approaching 51. I'm not sure if Phil's just turned 51 or about to, but he's certainly been living the life and letting everyone know that, hey, I just won the PGA. That was probably the biggest event that happened in the little sabbatical that you had up there, Jason the Cows, and was packed with a number of scenarios and a few of them revolving around Phil. So, do you want to talk about some of those, David?
Yeah, let's go through them. Obviously, there were a fair few tournaments, as you said, and we had lots of videos that we've put up on the YouTube with an explanation, a bit of commentary. But just for the podcast, we'll go through some of our main ones, especially from the PGA Tour.
All right.
The PGA Championship.
So I'll play these ones that you've clipped up for us and follow along, listen in. It's a commentary from the videos. And this first one revolves around Phil dropping on the putting green. So let me play that for you right now.
Fortunately, he's up on the edge of the green. Things are firmed up on the golf course. That's why that just trickles in. Back to 13. He's trying to get some clarification where last crossed the hazard. He's put the peg in the ground 5 yards short of that sprinkler head.
Talk through that one, Blakey.
Yeah, well, this is a really good one for me. One of my favourite rulings. Phil's on, I think it was the 13th hole in round 3. It was the 13th hole, round 4, because he was playing with Brooks Koepka, who we see in the video a little bit. So go to YouTube and check the whole thing out. But he's hit his ball into a red penalty area right beside the green on 13 and opted to take a lateral relief drop. Lateral relief option, which is 17.1 D3. And under the lateral relief option, you get to drop within 2 club lengths. Now, it doesn't say that you have to drop in the fairway or the rough or the area where that that estimated point is. It just states that you have to drop within 2 club lengths no nearer the hole. And so what was fortunate with Phil was that part of the relief area was on the putting green. And so Phil was able to drop his ball on the putting green. Now, if it had dropped on the putting green and rolled off, he'd have to re-drop. If it had dropped on the fairway and rolled off the fairway onto the putting green, he'd have to re-drop. So whatever area that you choose to drop into, whatever area of the course, it needs to come to rest in the relief area in that area of the course. Does that make sense, Rossco?
Yes, it does to me. I play at a course that has a situation like that on one hole in particular. So, I've been the beneficiary of that particular type of relief. So it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's I've given the ruling to a player. It was at the Australian up in Sydney, and there's a couple of holes where it could happen there, the 3rd and the back of the 7th.
Where I cracked the gel coat on the sponsor's product by blading it into the boat that they put at the back of that green.
Yeah, so Phil there got to drop it on the green. People wondering why. Well, that is permitted under that rule. So all good. Next.
Okay, all good. Next. So this one is you've titled here Phil worsens conditions. So it's not often that you see a player having to deal with worsening conditions, but we'll just play the video and then give it a bit of clarity around that.
At number 9, now Phil Mickelson, same bunker.
Ball's in the right spot. Right. But how did we get the lie back like that? What do you feel? Well, no, it's a better lie because I can get underneath it here. A little more traffic here where his foot is. You want to make it a little tough. Let me see the rake holes right up here.
Yeah, Phil is saying it didn't have that dent behind the ball.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one. You can see and you probably can't hear it that well. So, it's on the YouTube site. So jump over there. But, essentially what's happened there was it Brandon Grace?
Louis Eustace.
Sorry, Louis Oosthuizen had played a shot from the bunker, left a footprint right behind where Phil's ball was, and it effectively gave him a better lie. He was saying that the footprint had made a recess behind the ball, so he had that little bit of perfect sort of way of potentially getting access to the ball in the bunker. So what did he do?
Yeah, so Phil and Louis both had their balls at the ninth hole during round 3 in the bunker, and Louis played first, and that obviously marked Phil's ball, and so Phil then replaced his ball on the spot. Now, if his lie had been altered, he'd need, because it was in sand, he'd need to recreate his lie, and the lie is the spot of the ball, or say sand touching or right next to the ball. But this recess, I think you said, this heel mark was a little bit further back, which wouldn't have been in the lie of the ball, but would have been affecting Phil's conditions. And so, effectively, under 8.1, if someone else worsens your conditions after your balls come to rest, then you are permitted to correct that, or alter the situation so that you don't have the worsened conditions. But what actually happened with Phil and Louis was Louis actually improved Phil's conditions, and so he didn't actually, because he would have been able to get at the ball a little bit easier, or that's what he's saying, and so he didn't actually need to change that. Changed that improvement. There was nowhere in the rules that said that he needed to worsen the improvement that of the conditions by the other player. But Phil, who seems to have had a bit of a change of heart around the rules since his US Open gaff, was making sure that he wasn't going to be seen to be a Patrick Reed, and wanted to remove this potential improvement by Louis' foot. And so he got the rake, or the referee gave him the rake, and he raked out this little cliff that potentially was an improvement.
So there was nothing absolutely wrong. He was totally within the rules of leaving Louis' heel print there, which effectively gave him potentially an easier shot as opposed to playing directly off the sand. He just replaced his ball where it was marked, correct?
Yep, he replaced his ball where it was marked, and
then
if his lie had been altered, he would need to recreate the lie, but his lie wasn't altered. It was conditions about 2 or 3 inches behind his ball.
So yeah, so he rakes it out and makes it somewhat a normal lie for considering, the way it was before Louis put his size 12 heel print there. Yeah, very good. And his US Open gaff, talking about when he went nuts and hit the ball in motion. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, he hit the ball in motion on the green.
Well, he's. I think a lot of people have forgotten about that, and all I can think about now is Phil, the 51-year-old major winner, and beat some significant, fended off some significant challenges. All in the name of Brooks Koepka, who I think was pretty. I wouldn't say odds on, even though he's coming back from that leg injury still clearly, but his US PGA title stands him in good stead, and he proved that he turns up for that event. So it was great to see. I took a lot out of Phil's win, especially someone.
It goes to say it goes to show you how big an impact technology is having on the game when Phil is now 50 and hitting it further than he was when he was 25, 30, 35, 40. It's a massive change in technology.
Yes. Yep, you're right. That's and if you're one of the rollback type crew, you'll jump all over that. The fact is, he's playing against the same people with access to the same technology, and they've got the relative gains relative to their youth, strength, size, speed, and all points otherwise considered. And if it's the thing that's given someone at 51 years old more longevity against some of these younger up and comers, well, that might be one thing. But I think there was more aspects around Phil's win than technology, and it was more around the work that he's done on his mental game, his preparation, and just his determinedness to not see age as a barrier to competing at the highest level against the highest level of competitors in the world. And I think a lot of people like me that, as I said, getting towards that age, looked at that very admirably, sorry. And for what it means to me, I've taken a little bit of heart out of that. And maybe I'm not done yet, Blakey. Maybe I'm not done yet, mate.
Who said you were done?
Well, no one said I was done. No one. But when you get to, and I'm sure a lot of the guys and girls out there that we know are probably in the generation of between yourself and myself, and maybe even older, had some level of thought around this. I'd be interested to hear any feedback if they had some emotional sort of connection to seeing someone that's had won on the seniors tour for Jeepers Weepers, in the same year, beating the younger guys. If they got any encouragement, excitement, like a bit of renewed sort of pep in their step after seeing that happen. I know I did. I'd be interested to see what the others did. Anyway, let's move on to the next.
Just before we move on.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
My golf actually has been going quite well lately, and I see your golf hasn't quite been going as well. And I'm actually getting pretty close to you now, Rossco. What's your GA handicap now?
I don't look at it.
Well, I can tell you that it's 4.9.
Thanks very much.
And I'm currently at 5.9. I've come down 2. I've come down 2 since this time last year. I've only played 5 times or recorded a score 5 times, but I've come down 2.0, and we're just looking at your handicap. It's now at 4.9, and
well, explain
February this year, the start of February this year, you were on 3.4. So
yeah, and how many rounds have I dropped in there between then and then? This is probably the more telling tale of my golf.
Well, since the start of January, you've played 8 times, or you've recorded a score 8 times.
Well, that means I've played 8 times. Maybe one other round other than that. It's not a lot of golf to maintain that sort of level of handicap.
I've played 4. I've recorded a score 4 times.
And I've played on courses with many bunkers and waste areas and challenges and all that sort of thing. Where have you played?
Are you saying that the courses I play are not as difficult as the courses you play?
I am saying that 100% correct. If you're pinning me down to my poor form, and obviously I'm getting a little bit agitated at that, David.
So even though the amazing GA handicap system that we have, which takes into account all the different ratings and different par and slope ratings, scratch ratings, although that takes into account all of that, you're saying that that doesn't really show that I play a lot of different courses, whereas you play one course all the time. One course. Peninsula Kingswood.
Only for handicap rounds. Like right. I do play other courses, David, as you know.
Well, you actually have thrown in a national here and a Mornington, but Peninsula Kingswood. Oh, there's a Royal Melbourne and a Bowen Heads. So Peninsula Kingswood makes up 16 of your 20 last courses.
And your point is?
Well, hang on, I'm just counting. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 13 different courses in my last 20. And my 20th round was 8th of July 2018. So I don't really play that much. And just to see those scores, and now I'm down to 5.9. So I'm only 1.0 away from having a lower handicap than you. The point really is, how long is it going to take me to be on a lower handicap than you? Well, it's really just me handing in cards, I think.
Blakey, hold on. Sorry, I got to take this important phone call. Yep. Oh, sorry, mate. What was that you were saying? Sorry, what were you saying?
So anyway, let's get back to the episode 40, talking about some of the rule situations that Phil Nicholson has been through?
It must have been because that that sort of played to scratch handicap. One dropped off or something like that. I don't know. You seem to be following my handicap much more closely than me, so I should just call you. I don't need these apps that you make, and I've got a vested interest in because you're building something that does pay your wages there, Blakey. So no, good work, excellent analysis, excellent value to the listeners about the the challenges of me as a golfer. Not and a business person and operating and trying to play the game at my highest level. But I'll get back there, Blakey. It's all right. I'm fairly confident. As I said, I was buoyed by Phil Mickelson. I haven't played a competition round maybe since then, so I have been buoyed by that. Thanks for looking up my private information on the sites that you got access to. And what else was I going to say? I remember I think last time we played, one of the times we played together, there might have been some level of competitive spirit in there. I think you might have claimed a 12 handicap. I think, did you give yourself 12?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't higher than that.
So let the listeners know.
I'm improving.
You've claimed a 12 handicap. I said, what was the last you ever played off? You said, 1 scratch. Jeepers weepers.
Yeah, well, we go in form, ups and downs of form, and I just thought
if you wanted to poke the bear, Blakey, you've just poked the bear. All right.
Since you're got such a low handicap, you're someone I aspire to be better that, and I'd say by the end of the year,
you can't come.
My handicap will be lower than yours. You've heard it here first.
Well, let's just see. All right, let's just see. Okay. Anyway, next video. And what have we got? Phil, someone touched. Yeah. Okay. Let's play this one.
Like in the general vicinity, somebody thinks that the ball was right around in there. So, that accuracy, you're trying to protect her baby or something. No big deal. Verify. So, was that rest? And then somebody picked it up, and then put it back. Y'all told her no, and she dropped it. So, we're going to estimate the spot. And replace it. Okay. Yes. I don't get that club length that drop.
Okay. Someone's moved Phil's ball.
Phil the entertainer. So he's hit one a little bit offline. Apparently it was at rest. I mean, a lot of these, you're just going through the facts that you've been given from the crowd. Apparently someone picked it up and then they basically put it back. But because someone has picked it up, it's now for the player. So it's moved under 9.6 and no one saw that it was put back right, on the spot that it was needed to be put back on. So now the player has gotten there, heard the information. They need to estimate where the ball had come to rest and replace it. So it used to be a drop under the previous rules. Now it's a replace.
Very good. Okay, let's keep moving on. So this one was Louis and Phil, both coming unstuck. What round was this? The last round? Was it the last round? No, it wasn't the last round.
No, this was round 3.
Round 3, yeah.
And there was a lot of conjecture around this one.
Louis was tasting.
The right side of the beach club.
Oh boy. Keeping up on that.
Man.
He's done it again. It's that same miss.
That's the miss we saw in New Orleans in the playoff.
And the one we saw at 10 today, which foreshadowed this one as well. We discussed it there. Flare like that on Thursday at 17 that found the water, led to a double. Where is he going to play the next one? Yeah, you're right. That's because they walk all the way back to that tee, and it's across water all the way. So, not sure if that has crossed anywhere. Hope all these circles aren't distracting him. Yeah, close your eyes.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's done it too. Snap 2 in a row. There it is. The fear of the right side, Nick. You called it. Yeah.
Oh man, that is
Well, he got away with it.
I'm not so sure it crossed up anywhere close.
Well, there you go. Louis and Phil both put it in the drink.
Yeah, so really interesting. We can see from the blimp, and for all of these videos, you're more than welcome to go and check them out on YouTube, and you can hear the commentators, you can see the vision, the footage. The blimp showed that both Louis and Phil's balls didn't cross the red penalty area, or didn't cross near the fairway. So they they should have both teed off again from the tee on that 13th hole. But Phil did. He's saying, I'm pretty sure it didn't cross. Whereas he was very sure that Louis had crossed, and Louis used that information to proceed up to taking a lateral drop into the rough. And then because he then had interference from a sprinkler head, he actually got to drop his ball after that into the fairway. So yeah, go and have a look and check it out. Basically, they have to go on the facts. If they'd got some information from possibly the blimp, then they both would have teed off again. But Louis got his information from Phil, and Phil was pretty adamant that Louis had crossed, even though evidence showed otherwise afterwards. So, was it wrong? Well, yes, but the information at hand was that they both thought that it had crossed. That's Louis' ball. So you're using the information that you have at hand, basically.
Well, it didn't benefit Louis because he didn't win, but probably had an opportunity to, but didn't. Obviously, wasn't playing well enough. Okay, last video we've got here involves Brandon Grace. Let's play this one. Interesting one. This one buried in some sand.
Brandon Grace appears to be waiting for a ruling. Let's bring in our rules expert, Brad Gregory.
Yeah, it appears Brandon, his ball is embedded in that penalty area. He's asked for a rules official. There would be no free relief here for a couple reasons. Number one, the ball's in a penalty area, and even if it wasn't, if it was outside into the sandy area, you would get no relief for a ball that's embedded in sand, not in a closely known area. But what's interesting here, this ball looks like it's been there a while. I think he's probably going to have to mark it and make sure it's his. We'll see.
Okay, so Brandon Grace, he is in a red penalty area and his ball is buried in the sand. Blakey, what happens there?
Yeah, so no free relief because his ball was embedded in a penalty area. Obviously, no free relief for a ball in a penalty area that's embedded. But just, let's talk about whether you get free relief for a ball embedded in sand that was in the rough or the fairway. In the rough, no, you would not get free relief for a ball embedded in sand in the rough. But in the fairway, yes, you would get relief from a ball embedded in the sand in the fairway. So, a couple of reasons why he wasn't going to get relief, and therefore he took another lateral relief option situation. So and then he ended up dropping it in the sand in the rough. If it had plugged from his drop, if it had embedded from his drop, he wouldn't have got relief from that either. So he'd have to have played as a lies, and he made a pretty good shot, and I think he made his putt for a par on the par 5.
Okay, well, that covers off all of those scenarios that you've highlighted from the PGA. It's a few weeks ago now, but is anything else popped up that we haven't covered off in other recent tournaments? There's been a few of them. Anything else come to mind?
Nothing that I can think of that was really out there. They had some winds or some weather situations. I think in the tournament might have been the Byron Nelson. but similar situations to suspending play and then resuming play. But no, nothing else that's really popped up.
Well, we've got the US Open another week or so away, and we know that was the scene of Patrick Reed's abomination of situation there. Following the Twitters last night, it would appear that allegedly the burner account that is purported to be operated by Patrick's wife Justine has resurfaced and started engaging with the fans. So it'll be interesting to see who he gets paired with and how the course is set up. Will that rough there at Torrey Pines be as spongy and bounceable as it was last time? Can't wait to see that.
It'd be really cool to see Brooks, Bryson, and Patrick in the same group, wouldn't it?
Could sell tickets to that. That could be the the box on at the end. Yeah, the Mile of Golf I suggested for a charity, of course, and don't condone violence, but they should settle it the way some of our rugby league players do. They don the gloves, get into the ring, slug it out for some charity, and winner takes all for winners charity, and see you later. So,
what do you think of the whole Bryson Brooks thing?
I'm probably not the world's biggest fan of this player incentive program that they put in place. Paying phenomenal amounts of money for not only performance, results, but profile, media, appearances, all of that sort of thing. Basically keeping the PGA Tour name out there in the media, which I get, it makes perfect sense. But to put such an amount of money on that, I just don't get that. I think there's better ways that they could spend that amount of money to make golf as attractive as possible for the masses. And when I say masses, there's obviously those of us that will watch it without having to, read Bryson's or Brooks's, tiff, or see that, or see Phil win at 51 years old. We're going to watch that no matter what. But we need to talk to the people where golf's on the periphery of their interest levels. And I don't think incentivizing these guys to tweet more, do more Instagram posts. The PGA Tour should take a leaf out of some other sports that have grown their viewership exponentially and dramatically. I'll take case in point, and I've talked about Formula One before, but Formula One with what they've done with Netflix. I think when I hear my son talk about Formula One with such a broad breadth of knowledge, that to me says that they've done something right. And I hadn't watched that Formula One Netflix documentary, and I was pretty involved in the car business and Formula One. I stood beside Lewis Hamilton's car one day in McLaren's workshop while they pulled it apart the day after he won at Silverstone with the mechanics as they stripped his car down. So I've been up close and personal to Formula One. He knows stuff, my son, that I would not dream of because he's watched that Netflix. And I just think that there's other stuff that they can do.
So, do you think that the Brooks Bryson thing is really just a big play between them to increase their PIP?
Well, if my response to your question is insinuated that, no, I don't think it is, because I just genuinely think that there's not a mutual level of admiration or respect there for each other. Despite what Bryson sort of says, there's an article I read the other day where he kept referring to it because the media was probing him on this situation, and he just said, "Well, I'm flattered." People were calling him Brooksy. That was right. So it was alleged that Bryson was pointing out people who were yelling out, calling him Brooksy, and getting them escorted off the property. And then when he was probed on that by the media, he basically responded and said, "Well, no, I'm not sure, about that. I was just, I'm flattered that people want to do that. It tells me that, they've got a level of interest in me, in my performance that, whatever, you can read it yourself. It's out there more times than anything." Do I think it's staged? No, I don't think it is staged. I don't think there's an admiration there, but it's just a shame that it's happening. Of course, every sport's got its villain and its heel and all that sort of thing. That's pretty normal. But I think within them, the question has to be asked. are they doing it so they can maintain their position? In terms of media point scoring, are they doing it? Are they happy to maintain it and not come out and shake hands and sit down and break bread, so to speak? I don't know. It's a question mark for me. What about you?
I think they just have a genuine disgust for each other. Or Brooks certainly did, and Bryson probably hasn't helped the situation. And then, it's certainly helping their PIP. Obviously, thinking about it now, was that wasn't the start of it, but
No.
But they are going to reap the rewards from it now. So I've liked sort of Brooksy up until this point, how he's handled it, because I sort of am not really that keen on Bryson and how slow he is and how he overthinks things to the nth degree, and I don't think that's entertainment. But then when Brooksy sort of, with Michelob, did that call out for here's some free cases of beer for those people annoying Bryson, I thought that went a bit too far.
And once again, drawing alignments to PIP, and we're not qualified to give such definitive opinions on it, but if you've got a big sponsor like Michelob, and they realise this, you're the marketing guy, you're going to try and extrapolate some value out of that, and I get that too. That's entrepreneurial thinking, that's marketing and business thinking. That's why you pay for assets and people to endorse your product, like Brooks Koepka. I get it. I just think that they could channel $40 million into doing something to better the game in a different way. But I'm just an armchair expert like me, you, Rocket, whoever else is involved or wants to listen to this sort of stuff, and we get to prattle this out stuff for free. We're not media experts. We're not in the media cordon every week, every day. We're not media anything. We're just two dudes doing a podcast. In my case, 3 podcasts. Anyway, have you watched Netflix and the Formula One stuff?
No, I haven't. I watched Seaspiracy last night for the first time.
Okay, I haven't watched Seaspiracy.
Wow, you probably won't eat fish ever again if you watch it.
Okay, well, it's not talking about promoting sport or fishing. Or is it about fishing, is it? The sport of fishing?
Commercial fishing.
Commercial, yeah, okay. But the Netflix stuff, I've only watched a couple of episodes, but the way that they set up Christian Horner and Toto Wolff, it's great just to watch. It's more like theatre than anything, and I can see why people get engaged with it. I'm sure there are people that don't like watching it or whatever. They think, oh yeah, whatever, they're just setting it up. But I do find it enjoyable to watch, and just the proof is so many people have watched it, so many young people have watched it, and have now become Formula One experts. And I've had this conversation with several people. When they bring it up, I probe them on it. I ask, how did you get into that? Did you have a background in cars? Did you blah 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 blah? And they said, no, we just found it on Netflix and watched it, and now we're watched every season. So anyway,
I wonder if something similar happened with basketball after the Michael Jordan thing, because that was amazing.
Quite possible, absolutely. I think everyone's sort of learning a bit. So, the Tiger documentary.
Well, I think the Tiger documentary was totally crap, really. It was interesting, but it was nothing that we really hadn't heard too much. It was probably just the opinion of all these people that were on the other side of Tiger, because he'd burned them for some reason.
And once again, as always, we're digressing, but we're allowed to because it's the first time we've spoken in a while. But
well, you never know. It could be the Golf Rules Questions and Opinions podcast.
Well, there was one thing that I popped up that I saw recently pop up, which I watched it 2 times in a row. It was on late night, and it was on Foxtel and on sort of set time recycle. It was on one night, and I watched 2/3 of it, and then the next night I watched the full lot of it, and that was the Open Films on the Ryder Cup in France, and it was just the full behind the scenes of the European team victory. Shows them from before they get together. Shows them in a lot of people probably watched it, so I'm not going to repeat it, but it was great. and it's great to see the other side of these golfers, these guys that we admire so much. It's great to hear them talk off camera and see how they hang out with each other. I find that very engaging.
I saw something on Instagram this morning, and I don't know what came into my vision. Whether someone's just released a book or released a movie or something. It was Andre Agassi, and it was really interesting. It was about how he had lost to Boris Becker 3 times, first 3 times he played him, and then he analysed his service game and how he moves his tongue around in his mouth depending on where he's going to hit the ball. You know, if tennis are going to do something similar, um, or Andre Agassi's done something, so it might have already popped out. I don't know. That would be very interesting to watch. I think that's an amazing game to sort of play because it's that match play type situation, and you're waiting for the other person to do something, and they could pull an amazing shot out of their bag, but really it's just it's the pressure of the situation. And when you can pull these shots out, you could have the easiest shot to make and you miss it because you're thinking about it too much, and you have the hardest shot to make, and you think, oh, I can do this, and you make it. So I'd love to watch a documentary on that sort of tennis because, as I said, it's very similar to match play.
Blakey, let's we could talk on this stuff forever. Let's wrap this up. So we had some housekeeping last week. Last episode's
last month.
Last
it was
month's,
like 5 weeks ago.
Last episode's background bingo. So I had a picture. Did anyone pick it? Did anyone get it? It's a bit obscure.
No, and I say no, but to be honest, I haven't gone back and checked. It's been that long, so I'll say no. Where was it? I didn't even pick it.
It was Donegal, West Coast Island, County Donegal, Donegal Mervar Golf Club, and might have been on the third or the fourth hole. Beautiful little peninsula type links, dune, typical Irish, high up and down, duney course, and that's looking back to Donegal town. Beautiful part of the world.
Well, mine, and this is actually in line with my friend Henry Peters and I doing something different to just the rules of golf. We went up to the Alpine region of Victoria for Myrtleford, Bright, and Mount Beauty, and that was the background on the 11th hole at Myrtleford. So, we enjoyed our trip up there. We've obviously filmed some rules videos that'll come out over the next coming weeks and months, but we also filmed, just a little bit of promotional video about that region of Victoria, so which was really good, and we're hoping to do a bit more. And as you said, when we got to 5,000, we went and did Victoria, and you and I went and did. Got out to Lonsdale, but Henry and I went and did some more of Victoria, and then 10,000 we said we're going to get to Tassie, so hopefully we'll get to Tassie soon, and then 20,000 we're going to get to New Zealand. So we are planning to get to New Zealand by the end of the year. We're hopeful again 20,000 by the end of the year, and to New Zealand by the end of the year.
Mate, I've already got Dave Dobbin, Slice of Heaven, waking me up every morning. So can't wait for that to happen.
I see now, on that, sorry to cut you off again. I see
you've really let me have it this episode, mate. I don't know if I'm going to recover, to be honest.
I'm back. I'm excited. Crowded House just released a new album.
Yeah,
I was listening to it yesterday. It's not as good as it's different to their first few. So check it out if you're a Crowded House fan.
So now you're a music expert as well, yeah?
I like their old stuff.
Golf rules, questions, opinions, and music opinions.
I've had a lot of opinions, haven't I?
Well, we've obviously got a couple of background bingos here for you. Mine's pretty obvious. Yours, not so obvious. Looks very nice. Very good. Okay, you can sit up now. Blakey, thanks again. Thanks for.
You actually, you could see it, but I've got to make noises to make sure that I'm on camera. So, where's everyone think that one is? Obviously, you can see some kind of village or town or city in the background. Go for it, Rossco. Sorry.
Do we have a question this week?
Yeah, we do. Golf rules question of the week 40. Do you want to read it if you've got it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me. You didn't send it to me. You've kept me in the dark. You've berated me, upset me, offended me, and now you're keeping me in the dark. Where's this going?
Well, I did send it to you, but you obviously didn't click on the link. Do you want me to keep padding while you try to find it?
I've got it here. The answer is I've got your link. While I was away, Brandon Grace.
It was right down the bottom.
Oh, on page 2. Okay, I'll retract that.
Okay,
let me do my job. During the break, I was able to get up to the Alpine region. Yes, okay.
Yeah, we've got that one.
No.
Move down.
If anyone's thinking that this isn't prepared, no, I've just proved it wrong. There's notes. There are notes. Golf rules question of the week, question 40, episode 40. Okay, Fraser. G'day to Fraser over there in the UK. How are you, sir? Good to reconnect. Fraser walks into the bunker that his ball is at rest in and tests the depth of the sand with his feet by digging when taking a reasonable stance. Digging in while taking a reasonable stance. Does Fraser incur any penalties?
Very good.
I'll read that again. Fraser walks into the bunker that his ball is at rest in and tests the depth of the sand with his feet by digging in when taking the reasonable stance. Does Fraser incur any penalties? All right, Fraser, you're right, Paul.
Thanks for that, Sir Sean Connery.
No, that was my Sean Connery impersonation. I can actually do that, but no, I won't. Well, Blakey, thanks. That's a question. Ivers, there's probably a couple, but no, don't worry about that. Where was your last one? Myrtleford. We covered your last bit, Cranbinga. Yeah, okay.
My last one was Myrtleford.
Now, just to obviously, you've fired me up. I was going to say fired and inspired, but I'm more fired than inspired by your chiding over my handicap, using access to my information that you have access to purport. I just say low handicap, fairly low handicap. No one really cares if it's going up, where it's at, how many rounds I've played, where they are. No one cares. All right. They just need to have the confidence that, I can hit a golf ball fairly reasonably well most of the time. Correct?
3 months ago.
Right. Okay. No, just ask the question. Do the listeners just need, as by way of qualification of my self-proclaimed position as golf expert in this and the other podcasts that I'm party to, do they just need to have an understanding that I can hit the ball okay?
Yes,
correct?
And I've seen you hit the ball and you're very good.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you've obviously had some successes in your little golfing jaunts up there to No Bunker Country Land. What did you win? What did you win? Tell everyone, this is your chance. This is your time to shine, David.
It's not about what I win.
No. What did you win?
Like $70 worth of vouchers.
Okay.
I'll probably never spend.
Nice. Handwritten out little notes there. Well done, David. A-grade winner. Good job. Excellent. What did I win in the same time, David?
Your own prizes from your
No.
Ambrose competition.
No. I happened to win at the Mazda Foundation Day, David. I won the longest drive. Little approaching, 50-year-old Phil Mickelson-esque, old dude like me. And the first prize of the day is the longest drive, and the winner is, who's this? What's this fella's name? Ross Flanagan. Let's hear it for Ross Flanagan. And all I can hear is a slow clap of the 30-somethings going, we've got outdriven by 50 by this old fella.
Oh, you won a driver as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I won the driver. I won the driver. So you've cracked it for $70 of local vouchers, and I've won a driver. Thanks very much. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Oh, well, I was going to give it to you, wasn't I? That's right. I forgot.
You were.
I sold it. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Golf Rules Questions podcast. If you have a corporate event that you want to invite me to for long driving, I'm open. If you want your 12 handicapper to come, he's open too. You know where to get us. Email us, and we'll see you next time on the Golf Rules Questions podcast. Thanks for listening.